The slowest slow motion video you've ever seen in your life. This is sick.
Ezra, what's up, man? Welcome to the channel, dude.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
MCO this weekend. How we feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah, I like this course a lot. A lot more powerful shots than we've seen for most of the season so far. So I'm excited about some nukes rep.
Awesome. So speaking of some nukes, high-speed driver. This is a high-speed camera.
Heck yeah.
This is a slow motion camera. It can shoot like 1,000 frames per second, slow motion, 4K, super high res. It's what we've been filming with for the past year to be able to showcase the sport in kind of a different way. Why don't we take a couple throws? Let's take a look at disc angle, and we're going to use the slow motion camera. See what we can see.
Sweet. Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm going hyzer angle first. And the main thing with hyzer angle is you want to think about the right edge of the, for a right-handed backhand thrower, you want the right edge of the disc to be higher than the left side of the disc. So if we're throwing this way, it's basically going to be right edge higher. Okay, so that's a good way to think about it. And then one thing else to note is if you make a line with that plane, you want the nose and tail to be on that line as well. So if you have it like this, that's going to affect things that you don't want. And if you have like this too much, it's also going to affect things you want. So you want to think about keeping that wrist down and keeping the angle of the front of the disc in line with that hyzer angle as well. One of the easiest ways to make the hyzer is just to lean your body over a little bit more. So instead of throwing with like a normal posture, you just bend at the waist a little bit, and then that kind of puts you in a position to where throwing a normal shot, it's just going to come out on that hyzer angle you want. So that being said, let's send one and see what it looks like. And then another thing too is the follow through is something that's really positive to think about for getting the result you want. On a hyzer angle, since that left side of the disc is lower than the right side, you really want to think about keeping that follow through nice and high and getting that right side of the disc higher than the left side and following through on that exact same plane as well. So then for flats, depending on how you normally throw a disc, usually people have a slight hyzer angle. If you want a flat release, you might have to stand up just a little bit more. Most of the angles that you can affect is just with body posture. So, you know, we'll get into anhyzer as well, but you know, you lean back a lot more for anhyzer. For hyzer, like I talked about, you lean forward, and then that nose angle is really important as well, since we don't want to just be skying our shots. So making sure that wrist is in the proper position. It's easy to kind of do this and have it nose up. So you want to make sure that's in line with your forearm there. So flat release, I'm thinking about just coming through nice and flat, having my follow through nice and flat on that plane that's kind of level with the actual ground, and keeping the nose of the disc in line with that as well. And you should get the most distance with the anhyzer release, which we'll try out here. And again, it's going to be mostly that body position. So I'm going to be kind of back on my heels a little bit more. I'm going to be thinking about making this hula hoop with my arm, where I kind of have the disc highest when it's in front of my chest, and then lowest at that follow through. Anhyzer's been something I've had to kind of develop over the years. Like even when I just first started on tour, my anhyzer game was not the easiest to come by. So yeah, using that body posture helped me a lot, and just making sure you really get over on it. It makes it so much easier. And I feel like when a lot of people try to use the wrist to make it happen, instead of like, you know, making the anhyzer with the wrist, it's more of a nose up mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that for anhyzer, it just takes all the annie away, and it makes it hyzer out way too early, and it's just not what you're looking for. Awesome. Which is another thing I'm thinking about on annies, especially for me still, is keeping the nose down and matching that angle so that it actually holds the line.
Let's see an anhyzer.
Heck yeah. Try to get the most distance out of this one. All right, the nuke's a little flippy, but nobody saw it. It went 700 feet. It went 700 feet. It's perfect.
All right, man. So we threw some anhyzers, we threw some flats, we threw some hyzers. We got all that in there. Let's take a look and just kind of walk us through what you're seeing as we're kind of looking at this real time to slow motion. So we'll go ahead and play this. All right, so here is our hyzer. So first thing, talk us through what we're seeing here.
The slowest slow motion video you've ever seen in your life. This is sick.
Yeah, every second that I'm recording turns into a minute of footage.
That is wild. Oh yeah, so I mean, so far not noticing a whole lot. I mean, it's going to be a somewhat similar, you know, perspective for every throw. I'm already kind of getting into that leaned over position. You can see my torso's already leaned over the disc. I'm kind of more on my toes than I will be for my
so even at the beginning of the throw, we're in hyzer formation.
Exactly.
And here you go. So there's your lean right there.
So you can see my spine angle is pretty tilted right there. I'm getting really over on it. My right foot, my plant foot right there, is out in front of my body, in front of my toe. And then I keep this hyzer angle on the disc the whole time. My follow through is gonna be nice and high on that plane. Yep, and you can see the disc, pretty steep hyzer angle. My torso's still on that angle even, so I'm still kind of holding that and trying to just really hold the goal for the whole time.
Yeah.
Hold that angle and try to keep that consistent release.
Sweet. So here's our flat.
Yep.
And again, from the very start,
Yeah.
not much of a difference. You get
Right.
you kind of see that start maybe 30 to 40% into your throwing motion there.
Yep. Yep. So I mean, my torso is a little bit straight up and down. It's still slightly bent over. If you're completely straight up and down and you try to throw flat, you're gonna end up hitting your chest.
Yeah.
So the only way to throw a disc if you go all straight up and down is to throw an anhyzer. So definitely a little bit more straight up and down, and still kind of on my toes a little bit. My pull through is a little bit higher up in my body too, so it's kind of coming through my chest, whereas the hyzer seem to pull through my my upper abdominal area. Then my follow through, you can see, pretty much just follows that plane
Whole way through.
the horizon. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And then we'll take a look at anhyzer, and then we'll mash them all together, and we'll take a look at that as well.
Yeah, this is sick.
Here's our Annie. And like so, from the very beginning of our anhyzer, I can tell it's a lot different already.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely standing up a lot more. I'm already trying to get preset back, especially for me. I'm trying to really overcompensate and make sure I get enough anhyzer, since it has been a little bit more of a struggle for me. Yeah, I can see the disc, it's the highest
All the way up.
through all of them on that Annie. I'm more on my heel on that plant foot as well, so I'm kind of rotating around that.
Yeah.
As opposed to kind of being more on my toes or more flat.
Let's rock back and see that one more time.
Yeah.
You can see you're already way more up.
Yeah.
You're starting to lean back a little bit.
For sure. I'm trying to keep my head up as well a little bit to kind of help with that.
But you're flat right here on the back, and then we start to pull over.
Yeah. Maybe I need to drop it a little bit, get a little bit higher. I mean, this came out the way I wanted to, so I guess it's good. The follow through, definitely lower than the horizon on the flat shot. And if I was looking for more anhyzer, I could even try to get that even more down, but for that angle,
it over.
It stayed pretty true.
Sweet, yeah. All right, let's take a look at them kind of all together. All right, so we've got on the left your anhyzer,
Okay.
the middle is your flat shot, and on the right side your hyzer shot.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you can tell it's just subtle differences, but the torso is a pretty obvious indicator of what I'm looking for with the release. Even the hand positioning a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
As well.
And you can really tell from anhyzer to hyzer.
Right.
Like even from right there at the very beginning, our anhyzer, you're leaning back right there.
Exactly.
Hyzer.
Preset. Yep. A lot of similarities too. Like my offhand is doing a similar thing. My X step looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
So a lot of the core parts of the throw I'm trying to keep kind of the same.
Yeah, the bottom is almost exactly the same.
Yep. Head positioning as well is a decent bit different. My anhyzer especially is actually vertical, whereas hyzer is pretty angled over. And yeah, so this is really cool to see the different perspectives. Right, that was pretty interesting.
So almost as you expect. And one thing we were just talking about is the anhyzer, it's not even as forced anhyzer. Like there are times obviously where you're gonna force an anhyzer, but for a stock anhyzer shot, it's just above flat.
Barely Annie.
And you're using the torque and the speed of the disc to let it turn into an anhyzer.
Yeah, because most discs, I mean, especially these, a little bit unstable. So like 10 feet out of my hand, it's gonna turn into a pretty steep anhyzer. Anyway. The flat shot, baby hyzer. In my head, it's flat. So that's
once you get 100 feet, it's flat.
It's flat. It stands up a little bit, and then the hyzer is obviously pretty steep hyzer.
Yeah. So, and one thing I've thought about, and as we're looking through this, there are a couple different styles when it comes to the reach back.
Yeah.
Some people turn their head all the way back, and some people have more, like even Aaron Gossage, like he has a pretty focus for the most part, and then last second turns, whereas like Chris Dickerson and Paul Macbeth, they're looking at the target for 80% of the time. At the very last second they're turning, and then looking forward. What do you find with that?
Yeah, it has been something I've been thinking about lately. I've been trying to kind of mimic Aaron more on that. He's one of the best throwers, one of the most accurate, consistent backhand, forehand throwers, and so a lot of people do have that, like keeping the head back. A lot of other sports too, like if you play golf or baseball, you kind of want to keep that head back throughout the motion and then let it follow through at the last second. So yeah, I mean, I think keeping it back too well, just kind of stays in one spot, and then you pull through, that back shoulder kind of lifts up at the very end is going to be the most consistent way to let the disc and let your technique kind of just do the work for you, and not like your visual like effect where you release it.
You don't need to be looking the entire time. You shouldn't be looking the entire time. There should be a point where you're looking away, and then what are you aiming with as you're coming through?
It's subconscious, so it's like I'll pick my target, And then ideally, I keep my focus, my eyesight out of the way and just let my mind and my body do the work and just hit the target.
Yeah.
I feel like if I do look too soon, then I might see the target and be like, oh, I need to let go of the disc, and then it's way too soon, and it, maybe leak left. So
yeah, okay.
You let your mind get out of the way. I think if you can let your body just automatically do it, that's the most
cool. Yeah, let's take one more look at this. We got the anhyzer flat hyzer shot.
You can see the elbow position too is interesting when we get back to that point.
Yeah, here's the beginning. And again, you can tell huge difference from anhyzer to hyzer. I mean, it's flat, you're straight up and down.
Yeah, little X step. Off hand's already off.
Yeah, your step is in sync the entire time, so there's no difference there. The big difference is upper half. I see
even the annie's a little bit behind my body too, whereas the hyzer's on the flat shot are a little bit more away as well. The anhyzer is almost you almost have to round the annie.
Yes.
It's like you'll get this like rounding motion. Whereas the hyzer on the flat shot you can keep away from your body and create that space. So yeah, for sure. I'm trying to get on the anhyzer, I'm trying to get the highest position of the disc when it's right in front of me. So I'm kind of pulling it through higher to create that arc to where I can get the follow through low and have it actually come out on anhyzer. And you can see the different positioning with my elbow as well. Quite a bit lower on the hyzer, on tucked, kind of tucked to my body with the hyzer to create that angle. The flat shot a little bit further away, but still kind of low, and the anhyzer was pretty much shoulder level. With that
and again, I just reiterate again, like the bottom half. I mean, that is almost exactly the same.
It looks fairly similar. Yeah.
Boom, point of release. That is cool.
Look at the follow through. Yeah. We got about 4 inches, 5 inches difference. With my hand.
And that's just the small variations that make a big difference.
Yeah. That's what makes it so difficult, man. A slight little tweak in the technique, a slight little difference in the disc selection, the wind, the speed, the release angle.
Yeah, well, obviously a big differentiator between, again, like a 1,000 rated player, 1,030 rated player, and a 950 rated player. And it comes in with the reps. It comes with mindset. You were talking about that a lot. The mindset of how to approach these things, and then the execution.
For sure. Yeah, a lot.
All right, man. Final thoughts?
Dude, this is sick. It's so cool to see. This is a super slow motion. I didn't have this kind of technology to look at when I was coming to the sport, so the people that play now should be super grateful.
Well, I'm hoping things like this will be a driver for helping. Obviously it's cool, but we can learn a lot and be able to understand the concepts and dive deeper into some of the mechanics of what we're talking about here.
I'm hoping I can learn a lot too. I'm trying to get to that 1050 level, 1060 level.
Dude, all right, man. Dude, let's do it, man.
It.
Get one.
Heck yeah.
Get a win. Let's go.
Thanks so much.